I gotta turn the picture on. How you doing, everybody? Howdy, y'all. Jim Peters here. Welcome to Jim Peters Tonight. Our third episode. It's Wednesday, August 2nd, 2023, and it's about 11:02. It's about 11:03 right now in the Eastern Time Zone. Well, thank you for joining me. Okay, so last night we had a little problem again. We're trying to get the bugs out of this. We're going live on 8 networks at the same time. We did not show up on Rumble again last night, which is really disappointing to me because Rumble and YouTube are the two primary places I'm figuring people are going to watch us. And yeah, something went wrong again. So we're giving it another shot. I mean, I think we got a handle on this. I think we figured it out. We'll find out when we're done. I can't check this while we're doing this. I got too much going on, and also there's feedback loops we can get here in the studio too, and we don't want to do that. Also, my wife's been bitching about the fact she says you look like you have rosacea on the screen. Your face is really red, and yeah, it is. We're still fucking with the lights too. So we got a different setup this evening. I think it'll look a little better. We'll see. Got the green screen going in the back. We're in Minneapolis, by the way, where today it was 90 degrees. Now, most of you probably know Minnesota is the icebox of the nation, and that's actually true. 5 months of the year, or at least 4 months of the year, the weather here sucks. I am not going to sugarcoat it. Now, I have even my wife, there's a lot of people that like the cold weather, they like the winter sports, cross country, and all that sort of shit. Bullshit. I hate it. I hate it. But that's the only bad thing about living here. I mean, okay, yeah, I'm sitting in the most probably one of the three most liberal zip codes in the United States. And my representative for the zip code where I'm sitting right now is Ilhan Omar. How about that? Jeez, wow. I'm surrounded by geniuses. But yeah, it's a nice town. Other than that, it's a nice town. It is. It's a nice place to live. I've lived a lot of different places. I gotta admit, I like this a lot, except the weather. So the deal is 4 months of the year, if we're lucky, 5 months of the year, usually, the weather sucks. The other 7, 8 months of the year, it's great. And not only that, what you don't know, what you never hear about Minneapolis is that those 7, 8 months, it's hot as fuck here. Now, we average during the summer about 15 days over 90 degrees a year. This summer, we're already pushing 20, and we were only two-thirds of the way through it. It's like, and no, don't text me about this shit about global warming. Don't. It's not global warming, all right? Weather and climate have nothing to do with each other. I know there's a lot of people, at CBS News who'd love to tell you the opposite and they're wrong, all right? Now, I want to get a guy on my previous podcast from the news organization I work for. I had a guest on named Dr. Patrick Moore, and you should go to Amazon and look up his book. I can't remember what it's called. It's got an unusual title. It's not very long. It's only 120 pages. The thing about Patrick Moore is he was one of the founders of Greenpeace. He was one of those guys in the rubber boats going and chasing ocean liners and putting them off course. He was one of those disruptors. Well, he spent 20 years with Greenpeace, and he told me, and I'm assuming he'll tell you again if we get him on the air, that he quit because first of all, he decided Greenpeace had just become a money-making machine. It had completely lost its way on its mission. But also, he's a trained professional climatologist, and he could not shake the fact that climate change is bullshit. And I will give you stories of a whole bunch of people in the scientific community, even climatologists, who think climate change is bullshit because it's bullshit. All right, so don't even start on there. Now, speaking of the text thing, you see the little bar on the bottom of the screen here. Okay, so if you want to call in, we are apparently setting a precedent here. We're the first talk show in America to take video phone calls. I didn't say that. Talkers Magazine did. So anyway, if you want to call in, and you're welcome to do that. This is our third broadcast. No one's called in yet. I know it's going to take a while. First of all, not a lot of people are watching. Who am I fooling? But on the other hand, this is a completely new concept. And so I think people are going to be reticent. You shouldn't be. You're brave. And besides, what the hell is going to happen to you? I should tell you the truth. Anyway, go to this URL, jimandknight.com/call. There's a big button at the top of that screen that'll put you in our virtual green room. And the first thing you do is you get a preview screen. You get to check your teeth in a little monitor, make certain your camera and your microphone are working, and then you push join, and then you are in the queue for the telephone calls. There's also just on that page, there's a fairly lengthy, but you read it once and it's over with, description of how this all works. Okay, so the one thing that's really important here, you have to understand. Well, there's actually two things. There's only one real requirement other than having a camera and mic on your device. You have to use the Google Chrome web browser. That's why we can get around not having you install any special software on this, unless unfortunately there's a caveat. Unless you're on an iPhone or an iPad, then you use the Safari web browser built into those machines, the ones that come with them. Other than that, even if you're on a Mac desktop, you use the Google Chrome web browser. You have to. It's the only way you can get on. If you try it in another web browser, I've tried it in Firefox, doesn't work. You'll get an error message. You'll get an error message telling you to do it in Google Chrome. Other thing that you have to know is that if you don't want your picture on the screen, there's a pull down there where you can choose no video, and then it will be audio only. So you don't have to put your picture on the screen. As a matter of fact, our special guest tonight, which we have, he's be coming up in about 20 minutes. His picture will not be on the screen and you will understand why when we get there. But he's doing the same thing you can do. You can choose the actual, it says no video, and then you'll be audio only. Now, if you do choose no video, and it says this in the instructions, we really appreciate it if you'd at least upload an avatar. And if you choose no video, you'll have the opportunity to do that. You'll get a little upload box. Upload a picture, Goofy, Bugs Bunny, whatever the hell you got going on. But I would appreciate that. You don't have to, but it'd be highly. This is a visual medium. This. I'm repeating myself, but I'm going to for a while because not a lot of people not only are not watching yet, but also I don't know who's watched and who hasn't. So this started out as an audio podcast. It did, and I told myself when I got into this, I said, well, I'm going to let the technology take me wherever this goes, and I wanted to do a live show and I wanted to take calls, and then I realized that at the present time, 2023, and it kind of doesn't make any sense, but it's true. At the present time, it's easier to do live video than live audio. Now, you'd think that would be a lot more complicated technically, and I guess it probably is, but because of demand, it's actually easier to do live video and live audio. And I thought, okay, let's do a radio show with a video feed. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen Dana Lash's radio show on like the First TV or Direct TV or something like that. She does a really good job. Her husband produces that. It's a multi-camera setup. We have the opportunity to do a multi-camera setup here, and I nixed it. I decided, what is the point? It's my big freaking mug on the screen. Oh yeah, so we changed camera angles. Big fucking deal. Not to mention the fact it screws up the green screen and screws up the lighting. So we waved on that. But anyway, she's got that going on, and she's always really stressed. If you ever listen to her show, she's always stressed it's a radio show. The video feed is just there for looky-loos and perverts. So I wanted to do that. And I thought, well, then I realized after studying this, well, we can take calls from the public. And this is a fairly new thing because of the way that technology is involved. And to my amazement, it turns out apparently nobody's done it before. I talked to Michael Harrison, the founder and publisher of Talkers Magazine. Talkers Magazine is the Bible of the talk, radio, and television media in the United States. Everyone in the talk business reads it. And I talked to him. I said, do you know of anybody doing this before? Has anyone done this? And not only did he say no, but he said, well, we'll run an article on you. And they did. So if you go to Talkers, it's at talkers.com. I think they ran an article on this show around the 15th of July, about 2.5 weeks ago, I think. I can't remember the date actually, but I think that if you look at it, and the headline was, yeah, we're taking video phone calls. So I'd really appreciate it if you called in. Now, the general format of this show, once again, it's in 3 parts. I yak here like a moron for 25, 30 minutes. Then we have a guest on pretty much every night. Last night we didn't, but going forward now, we're going to have a guest on pretty much every night. And then for the third part, that burns up about 30, 40 minutes. And then for the third part of the show, we want to take your phone calls. But of course, you got to call in for us to do that. Tonight, we have the visitor from Russia. And tomorrow night, we have Jazz Shaw from hotair.com. I've said this many times. Jazz was on my podcast many times. He is my brother from another mother because him and I we have the same exact same gig. He's the only person I know that has the same gig I do, and that is he talks about conservative politics and UFOs. That's what he talks about, and he's an expert at both of them. And so he's going to be on this show tomorrow night. We're going to do this is going to be kind of interesting. We're going to pre-tape that interview, so it's the first time we've done that. So that'll be so. I mean, you got to bear with us here. It's still a little work in progress, so we're trying to do that. But I got news for today. Now, I hope you'll. The point of this program is that you will. I want to give you news on not just politics, but everything that you wouldn't necessarily hear anywhere else. And so I scour the news, and because I've worked for news organizations, I'm an editor. I know where to look for this stuff, this news that you wouldn't necessarily see, especially in the mainstream news. I mean, I watched Norah O'Donnell on CBS News tonight. Had on a fabulous blue dress. She looks terrific. $5 million to read a script. It's like, oh well, okay, sure, yeah, whatever, honey. All right, but I do have a couple more announcements here. So the thing is, I want to tell you about where you can see this show. So we have a network that we're doing, and if you go to jimatnight.com/watch, there's a list there and links to all the places you can watch the show. The links link directly to our channels, and the list is YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, Twitter, or X, or whatever the hell they're calling it, Twitch, Odyssey, Telegram, and Trovo. And I have to be honest with you, I think we're going to drop Telegram. Telegram doesn't really have a web interface. It's entirely app-oriented, and we're having a little hard time doing our programming for it. And I think we're just going to just screw it. So anyway, the other thing we got going on, I don't know if this is helpful or not. We have our audio only feed at Podbean Live. That's at podbean.com, and I think the URL is live/list. And when we're on live, we're on that page. And that our live show there, which is audio only, is turned into an audio podcast as soon as we're done. That's part of the reason we're doing it. It's partly for promotional purposes, because I figure if you're in your car and you want to listen to this and not watch it, you probably just turn it, get the YouTube or Rumble app and pipe the sound in your car stereo. That's what I figure, but whatever. By being an actual podcast, audio podcast, we get a little promotion and cachet from that. So we're doing that. Then the other place you can watch it is on the front page of our website at jimatnight.com. There's a big YouTube player there, and when we're live, we're on that page. So you can always watch it there too. What else do I got? Oh, one more thing. So like I said, last night, okay, we fucked out on Rumble. Once again we weren't on. So I brought this up last night. I'm going to bring it up again. I'd appreciate it if you're watching this on Rumble. If you would follow us, I'd really appreciate it. I don't want to bug people about this because people are bugging and bugging. It's like you gotta, follow us, subscribe, blah blah blah. I'm like, Jesus, I want to put a gun to my head. I'm so tired of hearing about it. And another thing I have to tell you about the show, you're not going to see any commercials for ages, maybe even over a year. I'm not really, this may surprise you. I'm doing this 4 days a week. I'm not really doing it for the money. I'm not. This is my retirement job. I'm producing this myself. I'm doing exactly what I want. And I'm going to wait until our numbers are good and ready before I even start addressing the advertising issue. So you can tune in. This is going to be ad free for a long time, and our website will probably be ad free forever because no one talks about this in the web business, but display advertising on the internet simply doesn't work. No, there's a reason when you go to your favorite news sites, you're bombarded with pop-up ads and ads that scroll down the page. I mean, you are bombarded, and the reason is because they have to show all of them just to make their nut, and people are barely surviving. I have to tell you, I mean, like I'll give you an example: the Gateway Pundit. They have really, really solid numbers. They're entertaining millions of people a day, and that website is so chock full of advertising, it's almost unusable. And I don't say, I'm not saying that to diss them. I'm not. They do what they do really well, but it's almost they have to. They don't have a choice. That's the way they have finally started. If I'm right, just a few months ago, I think they finally started a membership program, and that's also another reason you're seeing every single of your favorite websites is now has a subscribe for money type deal. You pay us $5 a month, and usually it's you pay a little bit of every month, and you get rid of all. You don't have to watch the ad, look at the ads, and you get a couple other perks, that sort of thing. I would say if you really do like something, sign up, do it, because these places are not financially not doing well, and that's the terrible thing. Even the places that have boatloads of traffic aren't doing well. It's like I said, there's no real display advertising mark on the internet. It's all bogus. The what you've read in the press is bullshit. It doesn't work. So anyway, our guest is going to be joining us here in about 10 minutes here, and I talked way too long, way longer than I expected to. I want to address something that Greg Gutfeld addressed on his show on Fox News last night, because I've been thinking about this too, and I don't know if great minds work alike or what the hell's going on here, but is it me? He said the same thing. I'm not quoting him because I'm talking to myself here. Have you noticed Americans, we're getting uglier. It's not just even that we're getting fatter, we're getting uglier. There's a lot less attractive people now than there were 20 or 30 years ago. And he pulled out, I thought this was really interesting. He pulled out a bunch of old high school yearbooks from 50 years ago and went through them and said that compared to today, the kids were significantly more attractive 50 years ago. And the thing is, I have a tendency to agree. And I especially look around now, and I'm really shocked. 20, 30 years ago, I'm 67. 20, 30 years ago, if you walked in the supermarket, and I'm a full-blooded American man, so it's like I spent 40 years of my life horny as hell. You would see generally, you'd see quite a few, for lack of a better term, forgive my sexism, hot chicks. They're walking around. Now I don't see them. They're not around. Not only that, everybody is really fat. Now, I can't complain. I'm fat too. I would say I got two things going for me here. I have a medical issue, which has made me gain weight. That's happened. And also the fact that it's basically impossible in America to live long enough, if you see into your 60s, 70s, 80s and not gain weight, because I don't know if you know how this works. One Snickers bar is about 250 calories. If you eat 250 calories every day, more than you need, in 1 year, you should gain 10 pounds mathematically. And okay, so you've been around 6 decades, or you've been an adult for 5 decades. Well, okay, now we're talking, that's a significant amount of weight. So even if you're careful, it's hard not to get fat. And I mean, I'll be blunt. Science has to do something about this. We do now. These drugs are coming out this fall. There's Ozempic and what's it called, Mounjaro? Yeah, Mounjaro. Um, I understand there's a third one they're working on. The problem with those two is they'll make you sick while you take them. That's the bitch that everybody has. I mean, you will be the first 2 weeks you start taking them. You're not just feeling nauseous. You'll throw up. I was just looking at Sharon Osbourne was on Bill Maher's podcast last week, and she was talking about this, about the fact that for the first 2 weeks she was on Ozempic, she was basically puking constantly. And then there's some woman on the Selling Sunset reality show, and she said she actually threw up while she was showing a house. Oh, that's a great way to make an impression, I'm sure. I wonder if they bought. But supposedly now there's a third drug coming out that is not going to that won't have those side effects. But I mean, this is the 21st century. We should be able to do something here. We got this whole AI issue, and I've contended, and no one's actually talked about this, but the thing is kind of implied, and that is, at some point we will have the ability to build the internet into our heads. That's going to happen. There'll be a little chip you can hook up to your brain, and it'll be powered by, your bloodstream or something, or a tiny little battery, and it'll connect to Wi-Fi, and you will be able to actually think the internet. I think that that's going to happen. Not only that, it's going to happen in my lifetime, and I mean, I'm only going to be around for another 20 years. Well, if I'm going by my mother, 30. My mother had her 99th birthday last week, so we had a nice little party. She didn't want a big one. For her 100th birthday, we're gonna have the biggest party on the planet. She doesn't want it, and we don't care. It's gonna happen. My mother's kind of a celebrity here in Minneapolis because she's been on one of the TV shows or one of the local newscasts like several times. They keep doing these stories on her and the stuff she's done. And I know the guy who's done them. His name is Boyd Hubert, and I don't know if you know anything about Minneapolis television. That's KARE 11, the NBC affiliate. He's done 3 shows with my mother, and he won. Not only did he win an Emmy for one of them, he actually won oh God, what is it called? The Murrow Award. He won a Murrow Award for one of them. He gave my mother one of the Emmys. She actually has it in her house. So, at any rate, yeah, this is going to happen, and we need to. I don't know if this whole thing about AI is people being overly concerned, or but it's this is going to enter your life, and also what happens when you can have a chip put in your head that connects you to the internet, and what happens if you decline, and then are you like permanently technologically disabled? There's so many questions here that no one's wants to answer or has or even thought of even. So our special guest is here, and we're gonna play the little intro, and we'll put him on the screen. Okay, here we go.
Hello.
Is this?
Hello. I have fun with Avatar.
Yes, you did. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia. Hello, President Putin. Hello.
Hello, Dmitry. It's Jim in Russian, right?
Yeah,
Dmitry.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you.
Yeah.
Do you like my avatar?
Yes, I like your avatar very much. Yeah. What is that? Is that Yogi Berra? Or?
So he's a good friend of mine, President Xi from China. But he's play on words.
Okay.
So he's puzzle. Russians, we like puzzles. He's puzzle.
Yeah.
So
right.
who's on that? What's his name?
What? Huh?
What is bear name?
Oh, Winnie the Pooh?
Just Pooh.
Yeah, Pooh.
What kind of container is Winnie the Pooh in? What is made of?
I don't know. Tell me.
It's made of tin. It's a Pooh tin. A Putin. I have fun with Avatar.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
But this is serious where we are. But
yeah, right. We need to be serious. All right. Okay, so
he's good.
President Putin. So basically, how are you?
He's challenging. I try to find longer table. The table I have right now not long enough for the people to sit at. I think I need longer table. I need maybe street block. How you say street block?
Is that to keep him away from you?
Yeah, he's safe distance. I am very popular now. People want to come up, give me a hug, adore me. So I must keep distance for the safety. It's a strategy, kind of. Need to make part of Russia. That's yeah. He's good.
Yeah. Well, do you mind if I ask how is the war going from your end?
Oh, the special operation it is. I'm not sure what you'd say is talk of war, but we have a few troops out there. We get feedback that maybe troops are spread thin, but I say Russia's so big, we need to spread out part. It's part of strategy, right? Here we have biggest country in world, so we need to spread out. Also, we need to maybe perhaps change strategy. I see other countries. We may need to visit them as well to get more soldiers to visit more countries. It's a strategy I want to develop a little bit more, but it's kind of like snowball effect with countries. So if I can pick up that snowball and get it going, then I think we'll be successful.
And of course, in Siberia, it's kind of cold, so you can probably get that snowball rolling.
Yes. It's cold. It's not cold like Canada. Canada hot now. Canada.
Yeah.
Lots of fire in Canada.
Yeah, that's right.
People think Russia is American enemy, but you kind of should look at Canada as your enemy. Your border, the whole border, made by men riding lawnmower. Did you know that? It's just cutting grass between Canada and United States. It's not safe. Plus, 90% of Canadians live within 100-mile of U.S. border. You don't think they're planning something?
That's
you need to look at Canada. Don't look at Russia.
Yeah.
The last thing I say about Russia, about Canada, is they are desperate. They so desperate they try to squeeze food out of their national tree. But they have so many moose and animals to squeeze for food. I say I don't trust country with so much beaver, and instead they choose to squeeze sticky sap from wood.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'll just throw in a little aside. So I have relatives that live up in northern Wisconsin, and my uncle has a giant spread out there, and he has a deer blind literally in his office in the back of his house. So he has 3 windows with gun sights that he can put his gun, and he shoots deer from his office.
Oh yes, you must also keep opposition in check. Also, not only animals, but people walk by you. You need to practice, so it's good for that as well.
Okay, I'm going to go on to a different subject here, and I hope I'm not sending you for a loop. So, what do you think of all this stuff that's going on in the United States on UFOs? Are you guys in Russia? Have you seen anything about this? Do you think about it or?
Oh, UFOs, unidentified flying objects.
Yes,
they are unidentified because you don't know what we are doing over here.
That's true.
We have hypersonic missiles. We have things we don't talk about, and maybe UFOs are, maybe they are from other countries, but most likely UFOs. I cannot really say from Russia security standpoint, but I will say this. We have put satellites up there, and maybe not all satellites are communication satellites. Maybe some of them look for other strange happenings in air. But I do believe some people in your country may have been captured by aliens and returned back to Earth to pose threats to other Americans. That's what I think.
Yeah,
well, and I think,
go ahead.
I also think that for January 6th, with what happened there, that it should have happened. We should have had some kind of success there, and so I think there's some alien involvement with that. I don't want to throw out things, but I would say if it didn't work out, everything was very well planned. So I hear, but it didn't work, and I don't know why it didn't work. I am very disappointed, but I think aliens may have been involved.
Okay, all right. That's very good. Well, hey, have you gone horseback riding lately?
Yes, I love horseback riding. It's very relaxing. And plus I have to have people pick up the horse stuff behind me and and carry my shirt as well, of course.
Have you met with President Xi lately?
Yes, we have bowling nights on Thursday. We have special bowling nights when we get together, and it's we don't talk business though. It's just getting together beers.
Mr. President, does he cheat at bowling?
No, he's very good. he bowls perfect game every game, and we kind of have to go along with it. But it's kind of the
It's
deal.
kind of like Kim Jong Un in North Korea
Golfing, yeah. Don't go
golfing. Yeah,
golfing with the uns. They
right.
are. You turn
Yeah,
their back. They oh birdie. Yes, it is very disappointing.
yeah. 14 holes in one, man. Like, so what's in the future for you now, personally? What how long are you gonna run Russia? Like 40 years?
Well, I think it's what the people want. I am only in office because of that's how I was elected, and we will keep having elections, and we can keep having people choose whoever they want. But I have a feeling it will be me.
Yeah, I do too. I don't know why. It's just a gut thing, but I think it's gonna be you. Yeah, yeah. Anything else?
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Yes. No, извините меня, пожалуйста. I was going to say that we get news right now. It's not very positive for Russia, and I would like to say that there are news and information from all other news outlets around the world. They are all wrong, and if you want truth about Russia, you need to follow our Twitter account. I think it's Ha now. Yeah, da.
Yeah,
Is it Ha? We the
yeah. I guess.
Russians. We are that letter is pronounced Ha in Russia. So that's what I will call it. But follow our embassy account on Ha to get the right news about Russia.
All right. Now I just had a brain fart. It's really terrible. Every once in a while, my brain just cranks out. I'm 67, Mr. President.
You knew you should look into somebody to help with that. I have several people who may or may not look alike with me, and you could do the same for you. Find somebody who looks like Dmitry, put them in, and then they can think and not have those brain farts. So you could be off somewhere having a scotch, watching them doing the show. It's good having people who can fill in for you once in a while.
Yes, that's very true. I never thought of that. You're a very brilliant man.
It's a good plan. Yeah, that.
All right. Is there anything else you would like to say to the American public before we end this here?
Yes, we need to have Tucker Carlson back on the air because he is. We are having. I'll be honest, a little honest. We're having a little trouble with our own news. We like to highlight American people on our show to show how good friends American is with Russia, and our good friend Tucker isn't on anymore. So we need some help with that again.
Yeah, well, I tune into Russia Today regularly. It's a pretty good product. I don't care what anybody says. At least the production is. You guys do a good job.
Большое спасибо. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, Mr. President, I can't thank you enough. I hope we can do this again.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure to talk to you. And yes, we should do this again. And have a good evening. It is 6 a.m., almost 7 a.m. here in Russia. I'm going to go for my jog and donut and then back to it.
Donuts?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You got to fill that poo tin there.
There you go. Yes, you a quick one. Is it you or your doppelganger?
That really amused me. I tell you.
Yes.
All right, Mr. President. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
До свидания. Пока.
Bye-bye. That's Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia. Here on Jim Peters at Night. He does good work. All right, now you can call in. Go to jimatnight.com and call. I'm going to yak for a little more because I'm waiting for you guys to see if you want to call in. I'd really appreciate it if you did that. I'll just give you a little more news today, maybe something you didn't hear, and that is the United States was stripped of its credit rating today. Top tier credit rating went from AAA to AA plus, administered by Fitch Ratings Service. They do that. They're the people that do that. It's the first time the credit rating of America has been downgraded in 12 years. And I'm not kidding about this. the Biden administration blamed Trump. No, no shit. Who has not, have you noticed he hasn't been in power for 3 years, but they blame Trump. So I won't even bother to read the statement they put out, but in no uncertain terms, they blame Trump for the fact that their credit rating went down. So I don't know if you folks were watching on Monday. And you probably weren't because there weren't a lot of people watching. Although there were a few, and I'm gonna tell you something, we did it pretty much except for Rumble, which crapped out again. Pretty much at all the services we're on, we got a few followers, and that was very, very much appreciated. Very first night out. Murray Sabrin, the economist, was our guest, and he's gone on and on about this thing about Bidenomics is complete utter bullshit. These people do not have any concept or control of the economy at all, and that's because they don't know what to do with it. I had a friend of mine say years ago, he said, well, you don't understand, most presidents don't really have a lot of control over the economy. And actually, that's not true. The real problem is that most presidents, and I'm not just talking about Democrats here, I'm talking about Republicans too, most presidents don't know how to do it because they're completely, and that's, Murray, and that's my thing with Murray. We're talking about this constantly. And Murray's actually he said he's starting a high school program nationally to address this, which is good, about the fact that we live in the most capitalist country in America. And yet most Americans don't know shit about macroeconomics, nothing. And most presidents don't either. And do I have to tell you, the current guy, he's not too bright. He's never been known his entire career for his brains. Never. I mean, he's plagiarized his entire life. He plagiarized in law school. He got kicked out of the 2008 presidential race for plagiarizing part of a speech from a British prime minister or minister of parliament, excuse me. So yeah, we're not the only three presidents is Kennedy, and Kennedy did have a handle on this too, but unfortunately he left way too early, as you know. Since then, it's only been Reagan, Clinton, and Trump who actually have been able to control the economy. And Clinton, bless his heart, it's quite unusual for a Democrat to actually have that talent, but he did. He knew what was going on. He understood it. And that's it's hard to believe this. Not only did Clinton leave office with a 60% approval rating during the entire Monica Lewinsky thing, the entire thing, months and months and months, his approval rating never dropped below 50%. And that's because people, it's like me. Being president is such a hard job. I don't mean like me. I mean, people think like me, that I think people are willing to forgive almost anything for somebody who can do a good job at it, which is the real reason I don't understand. I mean, I gotta admit, is I don't understand the irrational hatred of Trump. I don't. Now, okay, he may not be the best guy on the planet. That's true, and God knows he talks shit. He does. I mean, some of the stupid stuff that's come out of his mouth has been unbelievably stupid. But to his credit, most of it isn't. And that's the thing. No one ever understands that. And I know how Trump thinks. He's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. And the basic number one rule of entrepreneurship is that if something works, you keep doing it till it doesn't work anymore. And that's basically what he did during the 2016 campaign. And he's followed that rule ever since. And which is why sometimes it appears that he says some really, really stupid shit. And then it turns out that, well, maybe that actually worked for him, But he has done some really stupid shit. The single stupidest thing I've ever seen him do was when he called John McCain during the 2016 campaign a loser for getting captured by the Viet Cong. Now that's really insulting. And the thing is, what he didn't figure there is he's going to have, if he won the presidency, which he did, he's going to have to deal with McCain in the Senate. So he really insulted this guy. And I'm sure Donald laid in bed at night and think, that was not the smartest thing for me to do. And then when it came to the vote on Obamacare about repealing it, he came up one vote short. And guess whose vote that was? There's no secret at all that there's no love lost between the McCains and the Trumps. And I think it started there. I actually don't know for sure. I don't. But that was a pretty damn stupid thing to say. But on the other hand, you look at all the stuff Trump has predicted over the last 6-7 years, he was right on almost all of it. Almost all of it. I can't actually think of anything he predicted that he was wrong about. I can't. So, other than the election, and that's not so much prediction so much as his salesmanship. He's selling it, and that's the other thing too. People have brought that up. He's a salesman. Yeah, he exaggerates, he lies. He's trying to sell shit. Biden exaggerates because either to make his ego feel good, and God knows Trump does that too, but still, or more scarily, uh, because he's completely disillusioned and he actually believes the stuff he says. It was brought up in the news a couple days ago that last weekend he told yet again the story about the story is called Joey on Amtrak, about the Amtrak train conductor who ended up giving him some award or something like that. I can't even remember what it is, but the thing is, it's well known that the story's patently false because the guy he's talking about wasn't working in Amtrak and the dates that Joey was there. So, I mean, this has been well debunked by everybody. He keeps telling the story. I think he actually believes it. That's the problem. So we have Trump facing jail time, and yet we have easily the most corrupt president in American history. I mean, I listen to MSNBC and CNN. I watch this. First of all, I mean, I don't have to tell you this. The liberals are giddy with glee over the fact that Trump has been indicted, especially on this January 6th thing. And for years and years and years, they say, well, he's a traitor, he's a fascist, he's a criminal. They never give any actual examples. It's just talk. And all the stuff that Trump was accused of, every single thing, with the possible exception of this documents thing, this is the thing. This could really get him. I mean, all the illegal analysts said of all the stuff they've thrown at him, this one actually might make some sense. But it's the only one. This new January 6th indictment. This is bullshit. The Supreme Court's can avoid this. The problem, if you want to call it a problem, is that the DC juries are the single most partisan juries in America. They're liberal to a core, and they don't put up with any conservative bullshit whatsoever. So they will. I mean, if he goes to jury in Washington D.C., which he will because that's the locale, he's almost certain, by the original jury, to get convicted. That's what I think. But it'll go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will throw it out because this is completely full of holes. The document thing. Now, okay, that may be selective prosecution because, like he's brought up, Biden actually has more documents than Trump does, and also we know for a fact that because he got some of those documents when he was a senator, the only way he could have gotten a hold of them was to steal them. Either he or someone on his staff stole those documents because they did not come across his desk in a normal fashion. When you're working in the executive branch, you have privy to this shit all the time, and yeah, it's easy to walk away with it or stick it in a briefcase or whatever. You get to see it, but as a senator, you do not. You have to go to a special room in the Capitol called a SCIF to see classified documents, and you're not allowed to take any pictures. Usually, you can't even take any notes. So you go in there, you read it, you walk out. The only way you can get documents from a SCIF is to steal them. And that when he was a senator, that would have been the only way he could have. So I mean, yes, it's a selective prosecution. There's no doubt about it. But the fact is, did Trump do this stuff? Yeah, he might have. So I mean, he might have a problem there. But like I said, my problem is I can't get around the irrational hatred that half 40% of the country has for this guy. And it's not just liberals too. I know a lot of Republicans who can't hate his guts. I mean, a really good friend of mine, he will admit that Trump did a good job as president. He hates Trump's guts. He said, I will never vote for that guy ever. Another friend of mine said, who's on the other end of the spectrum, he's uber liberal. He's dreading the coming election because he said that Trump running will probably make him physically ill. I don't get that. Okay, fine, whatever, It comes out of this, folks. Are you interviewing? Are you hiring a best friend or are you hiring a president? You don't have to like the guy. There's a lot of people who didn't like Clinton, And the really funny part is when you think about Clinton, in some ways he was the doppelganger, the opposite of Trump. He was because conservatives at the time hated his guts. They hated him. And I know a lot of conservatives still do. I also know a lot of Democrats that hate Clinton, Bill Clinton, because of what he did in the White House with that intern. I mean, there's people. I know a guy who left the Democratic Party because he was so disgusted by that behavior. Uh, my thing is, as long as you're not patently breaking the law. Now, okay, Clinton did commit perjury. He did. I mean, that's well documented, and I can't remember if he confessed to it, but I mean, he was convicted of it. He committed perjury. He lied under oath about having sex with that woman. But is that an impeachable offense? It has nothing to do with the job. It has nothing to do with the office. I'd say no. Most people seem to agree, but not everybody. Because I don't know if you noticed, you can't get everybody to agree on anything. It's my thing about this thing about racism. 1,000 years from now, there's going to be a guy in your neighborhood who hates black people and doesn't know why. Just because. Here's my example, and then please don't make any racial overtones out of this. I'm actually using this as a literal example. 15% of the American public hate chocolate chip cookies. How could you do that? I love chocolate chip cookies. 85% of almost all of us do. We like chocolate chip cookies. No, 15% of the public doesn't like chocolate chip cookies. I consider that I can't explain that. I can't. A certain percentage of the public hates everything. And this is one of the problems with Twitter. And that is we get all these people go on Twitter and they bitch and bitch and bitch and bitch and bitch. And then the news media reads Twitter and they say, "Oh my God, people are fighting about chocolate chip cookies. It's terrible." It's bullshit. This has always happened. Is that now we have a medium that actually brings it to light, that puts it out in the daylight. That's the difference. It's not that that the opinions have changed. Is that we have media now that amplifies it. I want to thank you for watching. Once again, our thanks to Vladimir Putin for calling in. That was pretty cool. Tomorrow night, Jazz Shaw from hotair.com. We're going to talk about conservative politics. We're going to talk about UFOs. Now, this guy knows as much about UFOs as pretty much everybody in America. I mean, he's well connected. He's also pretty well connected on the political thing, too. He might not name names, but he knows. He's talked to people. So Monday, we have presidential candidate Tim Conaway, he's a longtime editor of Hustler magazine. Yeah, he worked for Larry Flynt for 15 years. As a matter of fact, Tim was the editor of Hustler magazine at the height of its popularity in the 80s and 90s. So, he gets a lot of the credit for actually making that magazine so relatively popular. I like to tease him about. Apparently, he was the guy. He was the guy who got to choose the pictures for the beaver hunt. That's his job. You go down the history of that. Anyway, he's running for president. He is. He has a website and everything. His website's at Conaway for Prez. That's CONAWAY numeral 4 PREZ.com. We'll have that up on Monday. And also, I'm still working on this, so we're gonna get Murray Sabrin's books online too. We have not launched the blog on our website yet, and we're going to do that in the next. That should be running by Monday, so if not tomorrow. So we're still working on that. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. All right.